Hi, welcome to the periodic table of components. I'm your host, Greg. This is a podcast where we take board games, take them into our lab, and we break open all the components and elements, cards, dice, cubes, whatever's in the box, and we review each one. We're going to look at what's on the components, what the components' actions are, and simply just getting into the rules of the game. So today we're looking at a game published by Thunderwork Games. It is titled Tenpenny Parks. It is designed by Nate Linhart, Vincent Dutrait. Now, this is a 1 to 4 player game, ages 14 plus. Plays about 45 to 75 minutes according to the box. And just at first glance, is this box is going to jump out from the shelves for sure. The artwork is just awesome. So on the front cover of the box, you got quite a busy amusement park with a girl holding a holding a paper, the Storm Giant, about, it looks like it's a theme park map. And then we have a mine cart museum and all kinds of roller coasters and a crazy looking shark at the top with some visitors, some crazy alien in the front. What's that? Oh, the alien is holding a sign that says invasion. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm just quite impressed by the cover of this box, and it's definitely going to jump out from your local game store shelves. So I'm ready to get this to the table. Let's bring Tenpenny Parks into the lab. Let's get it opened across the table. We're going to check out all the components. We're going to go through the rules, and that's essentially it. Let's get to know this game, and hopefully you guys will join me. So let's go into the lab, break it open. All right, we made our way into the lab here. We got Tenpenny Parks on the table. Let's get straight into it. So, from the rulebook itself, the intro goes, "At dawn, the trumpets sound. Mayor Tenpenny's shovel breaks ground, and the race is on. You have 5 months to transform the humble town of Fairview into the home of the world's greatest theme parks. Gather your team of bankers, realtors, contractors, builders, and arborists. Construct rides through the Stone Age, the American Old West, the Age of Fantasy, the cosmos of space, and the depths of the sea. Inspire thrill, awe, and joy in your guests to earn their tickets, for whoever attracts the most visitors at the end of the race will be awarded Fairview's Golden Key." Nice. So it looks like we are all opening our own theme parks here, and we have some workers to place out. I'm going to take several actions to build the most elusive theme park. Here's the objective. A game of Tenpenny Parks is played over 5 rounds called months. Each month, players take turns placing workers on the game board to take actions like removing trees, building concessions and attractions, and buying more property to make their growing theme park as attractive to visiting people. VP tokens. I like that spin on the old VP tokens. Instead of victory points, we have visiting people in this game. Very cool. So we're trying to make it as attractive to these visiting people as possible. At the end of each month, rewards are given to the player with the park that best exemplifies raw emotions. These emotions include thrill, awe, and joy. And as you see as we go through this, that those 3 emotions are tracked on the board. And after 5 months, the player with the most VP tokens wins. Very nice. So that's from the very first page of the rule book here, and the rule book itself is quite beautiful. The art and it's quite clear. The instructions are quite clear. Overall, very nice rule book. All right, let's get into the components here. All right, so the very first component is our game board. Let's break out this game board, and I'll tell you exactly what's going on with it. So this game board's a little smaller than your average game board. This one is looks like about 2 8x11 pages put together. So what is that, 16 by 22 if I do my math right? Um, yeah, so on this board, starting with the top left, we have the month tracker, numbered 1 through 5. We have 5 months in this game. The alternate colors between red and black. Um, has a pen and pencil next to it. So, looks like this is just your average tracker. The art doesn't really show exactly what it is. Kind of looks like a ticket. But yeah, it's pretty cool. This board kind of reminds me if I was visiting like the World's Fair back in the early 1900s. Just kind of how it's laid out. Just looks like old style artwork, which is very cool. All right, so after the month tracker in the top left, we have the banker position and the top middle with some $1 bill signs leading off the edge of the table. So these pictures are leading off the edge because you're going to be placing resources at those spots depending on what it is. So we have the banker and we got some dollar bills. That's where we are going to be placing the money as we earn and spend during the game. Next to that, we have a blue realtor spot with a number 3 with a negative sign. So it's going to cost us $3 to use this realtor. And let me back up a little bit. I forgot to mention that the banker has a $0. So you'll be spending $0 to visit the banker. So back to the realtor. We're going to have some tiles laying next to the realtor where you are going to buy pieces to expand the area of your park. As we travel around this board, in the background we have some, looks like some patents, some old style patents for different rides, which is really cool. I'm enjoying that one. So it looks like we have a patent for some type of rail cart, a roller coaster. It's just super cool. And then we have at the bottom right of our board, we have a contractor spot. So with a $0, this male has a black suit on and looks like he is ready to get with you and start contracting some concession tiles for your park. So this area is going to be holding your concession tiles, which I will get into in a little bit. But essentially these are just 1 square tiles you are getting from the contractor, costing you $0 to fill up 1 squares on your actual player board. And the last spot, well, not the last spot, but second to last spot to put a worker is the arborist, which is going to cost you $0. And simply the arborist is going to allow you to remove 2 trees from your player board to allow more space for you to fit your theme park rides. Now, I just mentioned the last spot. That you have to add the last spot to the board, which is this very awesome carousel. So this comes in inlaid into the cardboard, and you punch it out, and you put a couple pieces together, and it makes this super sweet carousel that you will lay in the middle, and that contains 6 worker placement spots, ranging from, well, you have 2 $0 spots, one plus 1, 1 minus 1, 1 minus 2, and 1 plus 2 spot. So these are going to affect the cost of going there depending on how this carousel rotates on the board. But you simply just put your hand on and it rotates, and the starting player for that round is going to be eventually choosing where they want to start that cost for their worker. Usually it's going to be the cheapest. Alright, so those are the worker placement spots, and those take up the majority of the right half of the board. If we go towards the left, we have a emotion track, which is going to track your thrill, your awe, and your joy. So the thrill spot shows some very cool looking lightning bolts colored blue. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 spots of each. So you have thrill, which is your blue lightning bolts, which is then you're going to have your awe of your park, which is yellow stars. And then you will have joy, which is your red hearts. So depending on what ride you choose to build in your park and what concession tiles you decide to put in your park, you're going to be moving along this track. And at the end of the game, depending on where you're at the track, which I believe is past the 8th spot. Yep, past the 8th spot on this track, you're going to get victory points. And I will get into those. So you are trying to increase the thrill, the awe, and the joy of your park as you build this awesome looking amusement park. Alright, so that was our game board. Next components we're going to look at is we are going to look at the 4 double-sided property boards. So these are double-sided. They are the property boards each player is going to get at the beginning of the game. They all have the same side on one side, which states the title of Fairview Adventure. So I guess if you want to make it a more equal play between everybody on the player boards, I would assume this is going to be for players' first turns and make it a little bit easier. You could all play with the Fairview Adventure board, which on these boards there are, looks like grass and trees, essentially a layout of a clear park where you're going to have to place your rides. And it is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by 7 grid on this player board. And on these player boards, depending on which one you choose to play, are going to have awe symbols, some wild symbols that allow you to choose what type of emotion you pick. You have the thrill symbol and you have a joy symbol. So essentially all the symbols of the emotion track. If you lay your attraction on these spots, you get to move up on those positions on the thrill track, or the awe track, or the joy. You also notice on some of them have some money. So the one I'm looking at has a $2. These are going to give you the benefit of money throughout the game. And then lastly on these, we have some tree spots. So during the setup phase, we're going to be placing wooden maple trees on these tree spots. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to clear those out so we make room for our attractions. That's simply all they do. They're blocking you from putting attractions on your board. And that we will get into later on in this episode. On the other side of the player boards, they are unique. So if you want to play a more unique game of Tenpenny Parks, you have the options of the Wonder Hills, Daring Horizons, Valley of Marvels, or Thunder Point. And they all have different symbols on them, depending on which one you pick. But they are very similar. The trees are located in different spots. But yeah, these player boards are pretty sweet. Looks like they're about 6 inches by 4 inches. Again, they have a 7 by 7 grid on them. And you can expand these by getting tiles from the realtor to expand the space you can play during the game. Alright, so let's go on to the next component. That was our double-sided player property boards. Next components are the 12 double-sided expansion boards. Alright, so these are the expansion boards I was just speaking about that we get through our realtor. They are going to cost us $3, and you can purchase these and essentially add them to the left and right of our board, and they are 7 by 2 grid, and they are unique to the fact that they are double-sided and they have different placement of where you have trees, so you can turn those any way you like when you install it on your board, but you can't move it after that, and that's going to allow you to fit more attractions onto your player board. Alright, next we have 40 concession tiles. So these are those one tile markers I was talking to you about. You visit the contractor, you can pick these. So throughout the game you may see that you can't fit any more attractions, or you just want to fill in one spot and gain a benefit if it's more beneficial for you. And these 40 concession tiles differ. Looks like we have 10 hot dog symbol ones. We have 5 balloon. So I'm assuming this is a balloon stand. The very first one I just said was a hot dog stand. Then some type of magician stand, an archery stand. This looks like another magician stand. So, or maybe that guy kind of looks like he's dancing. So I'm going to go with that. That's a dancer stand, which I can't remember the last time I went to an amusement park and just saw somebody dancing at a kiosk. But, hey, you never know. Next we have a clown stand. And lastly, looks like a t-shirt stand. Yep, so 5 of each of those, other than the hot dog stands, which has 10. And each of these are unique as far as what the symbols are on them. So if you go to the archery, you can get a move up on the awe track, and it looks like you will get $1 through the income phase. The hot dog stand's going to give you $2 on an income phase. The balloon stand's going to give you $1 on the thrill track immediately, and then $1 in the income phase. The dancer dude, he is thrilling you and awing you with his sweet moves. So you're going to move up once on each of those tracks. The magician is going to give you some joy and some thrill. You're going to go up once on those tracks. The clown looks like he's giving you joy and awe. And the t-shirt stand is going to give you some joy and also give you some money. $1. So those are our 40 concession tiles. They have a tan background on them. And looks like a little concession stand in the middle or kiosk with whatever symbol I was just discussing. Next is going to be our 4 reference cards. So these are the player reference cards in each player color. And we will get into the specific rules, but just on glance, it's going to explain on one side, they are double-sided for us. One side, it's going to explain our income step for us. So, and then our action step, our bonus step, advertising step, and a cleanup step. So later in this podcast, I am actually going to go through the cards, and I will include these in there, and we'll go into exactly what they say. That way you guys can know. Right now we're just going to focus on doing an overview of the components. After the 4 reference cards, we're going to see 35 double-sided attraction tiles. Alright, with these and the cards that we'll be going over in a minute are the meat and bones of this game. You're trying to build these attraction tiles on your player board and also build these cards in your deck that matches these tiles, and they're going to give you specific benefits. So these 35 double-sided attraction tiles, we have 5 souvenir, which are yellow, 6 Old West, 6 sci-fi, 6 undersea, 6 fantasy, and 6 prehistoric. Again, these all kind of follow a theme, and I'll go into those later in this podcast on exactly what each of those look like, but that is a quick overview of the attraction tiles, and they are all different shapes and sizes, which I will also get into later. Next, you're going to have 14 gold cards. Now, as you can imagine, these 14 gold cards are all personal goals that are going to get you victory points at the end of the games, depending on what you meet. I will review those later and get into exactly what those mean later in this podcast. Right now, we're sticking with the components. Next, we're going to have 35 attraction cards. So you notice that we had 35 double-sided attraction tiles. We also have 35 attraction cards that match these tiles. 5 of them are souvenir, 6 Old West, 6 sci-fi, 6 undersea, 6 fantasy, and 6 prehistoric. Again, I will take a closer look at those later on in this podcast. Next, we have 13 workers, 3 per player color, and then 1 tan extra action. So the player colors are a light gray-ish, a purple, and a red, and a yellow. And then again, we have a tan extra action worker. which I'll go into, but as you can assume, it's going to give you a bonus of an extra worker on your turn if you get that, and I'll go into how to get that later. So let's take a little closer look at these meeples here. It is kind of hard to tell exactly what they are, but it looks like somebody's carrying a backpack and a hat. Kind of looks like an explorer. Not too sure what they're trying to go for on these meeples. But I guess I can see them as being a concessionaire or some type of amusement park worker, or maybe a tourist. I don't know, but they are pretty cool. They're about an inch tall. So again, there's 13 of those, 3 per player color, and 1 tan extra action. So along with your workers, you're going to have 12 emotion discs, 3 per player color. Alright, so these are just simply round discs that you put at the beginning of each track at the beginning of the game. And that's how you're tracking your thrill, your awe, and your joy. Next, we have 50 tree markers. So essentially, these are just tree meeples, wooden meeples that you're going to put on your player board. I believe most player boards start with 10 you put on there, and as you go through the game, you're going to be removing those by using the arborist action. Next, we have a 1 month marker. So this simply, this pawn, you're just going to put onto the month marker, and this is going to track how many rounds, track the current round you're on, and we have 5 rounds in total, or 5 months, as the game is calling them. We have a first player marker, which is a shovel token. Simply put, it's a shovel with an 1 award ribbon tied to it. Next, we have 70 VP, and like I said, this is not victory points, this is visiting people tokens. We have 27 in the 5 VP count, and then we have 43 in the 1 VP count on these tokens. Again, 70 of those. Next, we have 56 money tokens. So 16 of these are $3 tokens, and 40 of them are $1 tokens. These tokens are thick cardboard. They are very nicely produced. So they just simply look like a $1 bill. And looking at closer, it looks like they say Thunderbucks on them. They actually did go into quite a detail on these dollar bills, which is pretty cool. And the $3 ones look very similar, other than they have the number 3 on them. Cool components. Those are very thick cardboard, along with the victory point tokens. Those are thick also, and the tiles. Everything in this game is very well produced. I'm excited to get into the rules. Those were all the components that come with the game. So let's go into our setup. Here we are. We're looking at the setup, and this is an example of a 4-player game for you, straight from the rulebook. Step 1 says place the game board within reach of all players. 2, place the month marker on the 1 space of the game board. Place that extra action worker on the designated place on the game board. This is located towards the middle of the board, and it simply just looks like a ticket stub that says action worker, extra action. And then you are going to go on to step 3, which is place all the attraction tiles and visiting people tokens, VP tokens, within reach of all the players. Number 4, divide and shuffle each of the 6 types of attraction cards as indicated by their banner, color, and icon. Then place each stack face up on each attraction space around the central opening of the game board. These 6 different ones are Souvenir, Undersea, which is blue, Souvenirs are yellow, Prehistoric are red, Fantasy are green, Old West are brown, and Sci-Fi are purple. Step 5, place the carousel and carousel ring inside the round opening of the game board. Align the carousel ring so that the plus $2 is oriented toward the stack of souvenir attraction cards. So it looks like you're starting off with the plus 2 symbol on the yellow souvenir attraction cards. 6, you're going to form piles of supplies by placing the following components on the table near the outside corners of the game board. So as I was going through the game board setup earlier, I mentioned that each of the corners and towards the middle of the board where you're placing your workers, they kind of have some runoff pictures that are supposed to depict where you're putting your supplies. So 6A, you're going to put all the money tokens near the banker area. 6B, all expansion boards shuffled in 2 roughly equal piles near the realtor area. 6C, all concession tiles shuffled and face down near the contractor area. And 6D, all tree markers near the arborist area. 7, reveal the concession tiles equal to 2 times the number of players. So in this example, you would flip 8 tiles on their face up side. Step 8, give the shovel token to the player who most recently rode a roller coaster. 9, shuffle and deal 3 gold cards to each player. Each player chooses 2 and returns the remaining card to the box. Keep the chosen cards secret, as they will be revealed at the end of the game. Step 10. Starting with the player who has the shovel token and proceeding clockwise, each player performs the following. A. Choose and take a property board. Place it with either side face up in front of them. Then place a tree marker from the supply on each of the indicated tree spaces. Note, the front side of each board is identical, while the back has a unique arrangement of tree spaces and icons. B. Choose a player color and take the matching reference card and 3 workers. 10C. Place a matching emotion disc of their player color on the far left space of each of the emotion tracks, on top of any disc already placed there. D. Take $7 worth of money tokens. And 11, return all other unused components to the game box. So that was setup. Setup is actually fairly quick, and it's pretty all self-explanatory. Once you get it all set up, it looks quite cool. All right, this is going to be the gameplay for Tenpenny Parks. A game of Tenpenny Parks takes over 5 months. Each month is divided into 5 steps. These are going to be your income step, number 2, actions, 3, bonuses, 4, advertising, and then 5, cleanup. So our first step is the income step, and on this, each player is going to take $3 from the supply, plus any income shown on any of their built concession tiles or attraction cards. So like I said before, as you build your park, you're going to have these concession tiles and your actual attraction cards, and those all have a different value of money. During the income step, you're going to be taking that value of money and $3 from the supply. In the first month, players will only gain $3, as no concessions nor attractions have been built. Note, this step can be performed simultaneously. Pretty self-explanatory. Income step, take $3, money from your concession tiles, and money from your attraction cards. Step 2 is your action step. Starting with the player who has the shovel token and proceeding clockwise, each player places 1 worker on an action space on the game board and immediately takes the associated action. This continues until all players have placed all of their workers. In some cases, players may be skipped if they no longer have workers to place while others do. So this comes into account when somebody has the extra action worker, most likely. Alright, so let's go into these action spaces that you're going to be putting your workers on the action step. First off, we got a little note here stating that action spaces can hold any number of any player's workers, except for the builder spaces. So the builder spaces are the actual carousel, and only 1 worker can be put on one of the 6 spots on there. Other than that, you can put any of your workers on any of the other worker placement spaces. The builder space, you're going to pay the cost shown on the associated attraction card by returning money tokens to the supply, plus or minus the modifier shown on the aligned carousel ring. Next, find and place a matching attraction tile on the player's property following the placement rules. Advance on the indicated emotion track or tracks, if applicable. After advancing, take the attraction card, flip it face down, and place it in front of you. Only one worker can be placed on each builder location each month. And we're going to go into the placement rules for these tiles after we finish up the action spaces. So hold tight for that. The next action space you can go to is the banker. And all you do on this one is you're going to take $2 from the supply. Very easy. Next is going to be the arborist action, where you can remove up to 2 tree markers from the player's property and return them to supply. Very self-explanatory also. You put the worker on the arborist, you remove trees, and that's going to give you more room to put attractions in your park. Next is going to be the contractor. Take 1 concession tile from the available face-up tiles and place it on the player's property following the placement rules below. Then advance on the indicated emotion track or tracks, following the rules regarding moving on emotion tracks, which will be covered here in a second. And then looks like our last action is going to be the realtor, which is return $3 to the supply and take 1 board from the top of either stack of expansion boards. Place it aligned to the far right or far left side of the player's existing property, either side facing up. Place a tree marker from the supply onto each indicated tree space on the newly placed expansion board. The expansion board is considered part of the player's property, and players may add any number of expansion boards to their property. Let's take a break from the actions. The income step and the action step and the gameplay, and talk about tile placement rules. So whenever you do the builder action or the contractor action, you're going to be placing tiles on your player board, and these are the rules. So whenever a player places a new tile, concession, or attraction onto their property, the following rules must be followed. There must be no overlap. The newly placed tile must not overlap an existing tile or tree marker. There can be no overhang. The newly placed tile must not be placed so any part of it extends past the edges of the property. And also, very important, no adjacency. The newly placed tile must not be placed so any of its sides touch another tile. These things are legal here. Tiles may touch diagonally. Tiles may share a side with adjacent tree markers. Tiles may be rotated to any orientation before placement and may be placed with either side up. And once placed, tiles may not be moved. When placing a new tile, concession, or attraction that covers a single or double emotion icon, immediately advance on the indicated emotion tracks. If it covers $2 or $4 icon, take the indicated money tokens from the supply. If it covers 1 or more wild icons, for each wild icon covered, advance 1 space on any emotion track of the player's choice. Now we're getting into moving on emotion tracks. So as you take your actions that allow you to move on the emotion tracks, these are the rules for that. Concession tiles and attraction cards have emotion icons on them. Each icon represents 1 forward movement along an emotion track. Whenever a player earns an advancement on a track, move that player's emotion disc 1 space to the right on the appropriate track on the game board. If a disc is moved from a space that contains other discs, either being moved forward or backward, do not change the order of the disc remaining on the space. If a disc is moved into a space that already contains 1 or more other discs, place the moving disc on top of the other discs. If a disc would be moved past the end of the track, instead move it on top of the all other disc on the final space. So to give us an example where somebody has the Wild Gulch card, and it has a thrill symbol, 2 awe symbols, and 1 joy symbol. So this player gets to move up once on the thrill, 2 on the awe, and 1 on the joy. We're now getting into our third action. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, our third step on our turn. Not our action, but our step. So if you remember, the first step was the income step, and the second was the action step. Now we're going into our third, which is the bonuses step. Evaluate each of the emotion tracks on the game board in order from top to bottom, starting with the thrill track. So that's where that moving on emotion tracks comes into play, and important that the players are putting their pieces on the top of the stack if there are multiple pieces. So the player farthest forward along each track chooses which bonus to accept associated with the track. If multiple players are in the same space farthest along a track, the player with their emotion disc on top is considered farthest along. So starting with the thrill, the player farthest along the track may either move their disc backward one space and take the extra action worker for use during the next month's action step, or take one visiting people token and return an extra action worker to its designated place on the game board. So those are your two options if you're moving up on, if you are the farthest on the thrill track. If you are the farthest on the awe track, the player farthest along this may either move their disc backward one space and take the shovel token. They will rotate the carousel ring during the cleanup step of the current month. Or instead of moving their discs backwards, they can take one VP token and give the shovel token to the player on their right. And then third is the joy. The player farthest along the track may either move their disc backward one space and take $3, or not move it backwards and take one victory. There I go again, as VP, visiting persons token, can take one of those. So you're making the decision if you're the farthest along one of these three tracks, if you want to move your disc backwards and take a benefit, which is a better benefit than the second. If you choose a second benefit from these, you're not moving your disc, but you get a minor benefit from those. And they have a note. In a 3 or 4 player game, in addition to the bonuses listed above, the player whose disc is second farthest along each emotion track takes one VP token. It's kind of in fine print down there, and it seems like that would need to be popped out a little bit more. But yes, the second player on each of those tracks in a 3 or 4 player game gets one VP token. And this is evaluated before emotion discs are moved this step. That is our bonuses step. Our fourth step is going to be the advertising step. Each player decides if they would like to spend money tokens to advertise any or all of their attractions. To advertise an attraction, the player must pay the advertising cost shown on the associated attraction card by returning money tokens to the supply. They then take the indicated number of VP tokens. This can be done once per attraction per month. Note, this step can be performed simultaneously, but upon a player's request, advertising decisions should be made in player order, starting with the player with the shovel token. So essentially on this step, you have your face down attraction cards, and some of them have a advertising step in the bottom left corner, and you're paying leftover money for straight up victory points. Okay, our last step on our turn is going to be the cleanup step. In order, perform the following steps. 1. Refresh the concessions. Return any remaining face-up concession tiles to the box. Then reveal tokens equal to 2 times the number of players from the remaining face-down tiles. Number 2. Return all workers. Return all workers from action spaces to each player's area. Number 3. Rotate the carousel. The player with the shovel token rotates the carousel ring, choosing a new position by turning it any number of spaces. The position must change as a result of the rotation. Step 4. Advance the month. If the month marker is already on the 5th space, proceed to the game end. Otherwise, move it to the next space and begin the next month starting with the income step. We are now getting into the game end rules. Once the 5th month is complete, players will tally their final scores. Each player takes VP tokens for the following. Goals. Each player reveals their goal cards and takes 3 VP tokens for each goal they have successfully satisfied. Attractions. Each player takes VP tokens equal to the total VP shown on all of their attraction cards. Emotions bonuses. Each player takes 5 VP tokens for each of their emotion discs that ended above the 8th space of the emotion tracks. Attraction count bonus. Each player takes 5 VP tokens for having 6 or 7 attraction cards, or 10 VP tokens for having 8 or more. The player with the most total visiting people wins. In the case of a tie, the tied player with the most money wins. In case of a further tie, the tied player closest clockwise to the player with the shovel token wins. Alright, the last thing in our rule book, we have the credits. Let's roll through the credits of this game. The game design is Nate Linhart. I apologize if I mispronounce any of these names. Development is Daniel Cunningham and Keith Metishka. Illustration, Vincent Dutrait. Graphic design, Vincent Dutrait and Daniel Cunningham. Editing, Meeple Lady. Narrative, James Ryan. They give some special thanks to all the people who helped playtest and provide feedback throughout development. Kristen Acker-Moore, Julie Ahern, Marty Bava, Brandon Bergenston, Jason Corey, Josie Darling, Stephen Esser, Joe Garacci, Max Garacci, Jeremy Hawk, Rob Hogan, Wayne Humfleet, George Jaros, Stephen Kerr, Ricky Krutner, Stacy Marshall, Carl Moore, Ian Peterson, Brandon Phipps, Nathan Revere, Alex Robles, Emily Robles, Jesse Robles, Ari Rogers, Jake Smirt, Michelle Schmirt, Jordan Starr, Jack Trelford, Vanessa Trelford, Andrea White, Lauren Winton, and Josh Zulke. For more information or support, please visit us at www.thunderworkgames.com. And this is a 2022 Thunderworks Games. All rights are reserved. I mentioned last segment that on the credits that this was the last page. And I forgot to mention that at the very end on the back of the rulebook are the solo rules. So this section is going to cover the rules for playing solo. So when playing Tenpenny Parks solo, the player competes against a virtual player named Becky. Becky takes simplified actions, build attractions, and gains VP tokens as a human player would, but does not gain any money tokens. At the end of the game, if the player has accumulated more VP tokens than Becky, they win. The game is played in the same way as a 2-player game, but setup and gameplay steps are slightly adjusted as described below. Setup. Give Becky 3 workers and the emotion discs of the same color. Becky does not start with, gain, or use property board, any gold cards, or any money tokens. The human player starts with the shovel token. Place Becky's emotion discs on the top of the player's disc on the emotion tracks. On the income phase, Becky does not collect income. On the second step, the actions phase is during the action step, the player and Becky alternate turns placing workers in the same way as in the multiplayer game, starting with whoever has the shovel token. When Becky takes an action, she places her worker according to these rules. Her first action, Becky places a worker on the builder location whose associated attraction costs the most, including any modifier on the carousel ring. Her second action, Becky places a worker on the builder location whose associated attraction costs the least, including any modifier on the carousel ring. Third action, Becky places a worker on the contractor location, reveal a random face-down concession tile, and advance Becky's emotion disc on the emotion track as indicated on the revealed concession tile, if applicable. If the revealed concession tile shows income, Becky takes VP tokens equal to the income shown. Return the revealed concession tile to the game box. When Becky selects the builder action, she takes the attraction card and advances her emotion disc on the emotion tracks, if applicable. When choosing a builder location with attractions tied for most or least cost, Becky first chooses the one that gives her the most movement on the emotion tracks. If still tied, she chooses the one that gives her the most VP tokens at the end of the game. If still tied, the player chooses which attraction Becky takes. Note, when Becky takes an attraction card, it's important to keep track of which attraction card she most recently collected for use during the advertising step. Step 3, which is bonuses. Whenever one of Becky's emotion discs is ahead of the player's disc on a track, Becky takes the 1 VP token bonus. As a result, her emotion discs do not move during this step. However, if Becky is ahead on the awe track, she also gains or keeps the shovel token for the next month. Step 4, advertising. Becky always advertises her most recently gained attraction. She does not spend money tokens when doing this, but still gains the VP tokens for advertising. 5, cleanup. If Becky has the shovel token, she rotates the carousel ring exactly 1 space clockwise. Game end. When tallying scores, the player gains VP tokens in the same way as the multiplayer game. Becky does not score gold cards. She gains the VP tokens shown on all of her attractions, any emotion bonuses earned, and the attraction count bonus, which will always be 10 VP tokens. At the end of the game, if you have scored more VP tokens than Becky, you win. Note, for a more difficult game, swap Becky's first and second actions. This means that she will place her worker on the least expensive attraction for her first action, and she will place her worker on the most expensive attraction for her second action. And that is the end of the solo rules. Alright, we're going to get into the tile descriptions for this game. I had touched on the concession tiles at the beginning, so I won't go back into those. But I do want to cover the actual attraction tiles. And let's start with the souvenir, which are colored yellow. In the yellow souvenir tokens, we have a 2-spot horseshoe saloon that shows a picture of a longhorn skull. I believe that's what it's called. And it is the horseshoe saloon. And these are double-sided. Next is going to be the armor shop. Looks like there is an anvil from the top. Next is going to be sticks and stones. Looks like a fossilized T-Rex skull. Pretty cool looking souvenir tile. And that is also a 2-spot tile. We have a 3-spot tile for Star Captain Outfitter. And from the top, it looks like it is just some type of spaceship or, spaceship or some type of satellite. It's hard to tell on these. The artwork is quite small on these just because the tiles are small in general. Next we have Deep Sea Souvenirs. And it is top view of a boat. Those are our 5 souvenir tiles, colored yellow. Next, we are going to get into our brown tiles, which are the Old West. First one I'm looking at is a 5-spot tile. It is called Basin City Scramble. And this looks like your typical water ride or your log ride at an amusement park. We have the Minecart Mayhem. Top view of a mining cart rail. And that is a 6 tile spot. Then we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spot Wild Gulch. And that looks like some type of refinery or factory I'm looking at. It's hard to discern what that one is. Next one we have the Bandit Shootout. Looks like an Old West town. And this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spot tile. Bandit Shootout. Top view of an Old West saloon and buildings. Next is our Mudslide. And it looks like a slide with mud on it. Pretty self-explanatory. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiles. Square placement on that one. Lastly, on our Old West tiles, we have the Gold Rush. And that looks like we have a top view of a train and roller coaster. The Gold Rush. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spot tile. Next, we're going to get into our 6 sci-fi tiles. These are my personal favorites. First one we have Ad Astra, which is a 4 spot tile. And this also looks like some type of space station launch with a shuttle launching off. We have a Moon Launch, which is a 5 spot tile. Another looks like a launch pad top view. Then we have the Space Springs tile. That looks like an attraction that spins at an amusement park, which is 6 spot tile. Then we have the Max Force tile, which looks like one of the rides you would do at a carnival, that you're standing up against the wall and it's spinning. That's what I'm taking for the Max Force, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spot tile. And then we have the Hover Racers, which is simply a racetrack. And that is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spot tile. And then we have, lastly, the Ray Gun Alley, which shows an alien, little green man, typical alien face, picture on an attraction. Those are the sci-fi tiles. And that Ray Gun Alley is a 4 spotter. Alright, next we're going to get into the blue tiles, which are our 6 undersea tiles. And these are the Poseidon Slide, which is a 4 spot tile. And then we have the Submarine Voyage, which is a 4 spot tile. And looks like that is a boat docked onto some type of port. And the Poseidon Slide is a water slide. The Atlantis tile shows the Atlantis Palace, and that is a 4 spot tile. We have the Kraken Whirl, which is a depiction of a kraken. And we have the Maelstrom, which looks like a whirlpool, and that is a 4 spot tile. If I didn't mention, the Kraken Whirl is a 4 spot tile. And then we have the Nautical Turmoil, which is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spot tile. Those are our blue undersea attraction tiles. Next, we're going to get into our fantasy tiles. We have the Sabbac Keep. We have the Haunted Dungeon. I'm just going to move on with the name of these, because on some of these are just, it's kind of hard to depict exactly what they are. They look like an abstract view of most rides. I could see how the artist was having an issue depicting some of this stuff. But the artwork is cool, and it is worth mentioning. I'm just spending a lot of time here deciphering exactly what some of these are. But the next one was the Dragon's Flight, the Storm Giant, Wizard's Duel, And lastly, the Labyrinth. Those are our fantasy rides. Alright, now we're getting into our prehistoric tiles. We have the Saber-Tooth Show, the Primordial Zip, the Volcano Tower, the Mammoth Valley, Stone Age Rush, and Dino Adventure. Those are all of our tiles, our attraction tiles that you are laying on your board throughout the game. Again, I want to emphasize that the artwork on these is cool. It's just the tiles are smaller and they had limited space to fit a lot amount of artwork on, so it is kind of hard to tell what some of it is, but nonetheless, they are quite abstract and they look pretty cool. Alrighty, next we're getting into the cards. Let's check out what these cards are all about. Told you at the beginning that I was going to explain these more in depth, and here we go. So first I'm going to cover the 4 player aid cards, or the 4 reference cards. There's one in each color. On one side, it's going to tell you there is an income step, which is gain $3 plus any income from built concessions and attractions. Then we have the action step, place workers on action spaces to take actions, 1 worker at a time in turn order. The bonuses step, receive bonuses from emotion tracks. Advertising step, spend money to advertise built attractions to gain VP tokens, once per attraction per month. Cleanup step, refresh concessions, return workers, rotate the carousel, advance the month marker. Then on the other side, it gives us the final scoring summary. So, 1, we have the goal cards, which is 3 VP per completed goal. 2, attraction values, VP from built attractions. 3, the emotion tracks, 5 VP per disc above the 8th space. 4, attraction counts, 5 VP for 6 to 7 built attractions, and 10 VP for 8 plus built attractions. Those are your 4 reference cards. Next, I'm going to get into the goal cards. There are 14 of them, and here they are. First one I'm looking at is the Fairview Golden Key Contest, the most thrilling. And this is going to give the person who ends the game with your emotion disc furthest along the thrill track. That's going to give you 3 VP. We have the Fairview Golden Key Contest, most expensive, in the game with at least 3 attraction built or partially built on an expansion board. 3 victory points. Visiting people. Most rough and tumble, in the game with at least 2 Old West attractions. 3 VP. Most out of this world, in the game with at least 3 sci-fi attractions. 3 VP. Best souvenirs, in the game with at least 5 different types of concessions on your property board. Again, 3. I believe all of these are 3. Yes, for the rest of these gold cards, all of them are 3 points. Most primitive, in the game with at least 3 prehistoric attractions. Most environmental, in the game with 4 or fewer trees removed from your property board. Best landscaped, in the game with 6 or more trees removed from your property board. Most fantastic, in the game with at least 2 fantasy attractions. Most variety, in the game with at least 5 different types of attractions. Best designed, in the game with at least 6 icon spaces on your property board covered by attractions or concessions. Most drenched, in the game with at least 3 undersea attractions. Most joyful, in the game with your emotion disc furthest along the joy track. And lastly, the most awesome, in the game with your emotion disc furthest along the awe track. Those are the 14 gold cards. Let's get into the attraction cards. Again, there are 35 of these. We're going to start with the souvenir cards like we did with the tiles. There's 5 of those. First one I'm looking at is the Star Captain Outfitter. It looks like it cost us $4, gets us 0 VP, but $3 on the income turn. Once it's flipped over, it does not allow you to advertise it and get points during the advertise step. And on the back, it says the Star Captain Outfitter, Memories from Another World. Next is the Sticks and Stones. It costs $3 of a base price, zero VP, but $2 on the income. Let's flip it over. It says Sticks and Stones, Scavenge for Survival, with a picture of a Stone Age guy standing at a kiosk in front of a cave. Next is the Armor Shop card. Costs $3. Worth 0 VP, but gives you $2 on the income. And we have some armor-wearing knights standing in front of a concession or kiosk with an anvil on top. You flip it over, it's going to give you the same picture, and it says, Visit the Anvil. Again, that one does not give you... Looks like all these souvenir cards do not give you any type of advertising bonus, but they will give you income on your income step, which is always nice also. Next, we have the Horseshoe Saloon. It costs $3, 0 VP, but $2. Flip it over. It has a picture of a guy standing in front of an old saloon saying, Saddle up, partner. Next, we have, actually, that is a deep sea. So those are our souvenir cards. Next, let's get into the Old West. First, I'm showing as the mudslide. Picture of 3 kids going down a mudslide on top of, looks like what are inflatable cows. This one costs $7. 3 victory points at the end of the game. When you build this attraction, you're going to move up once on the thrill, once on the awe, and once on the joy. You flip it over, and then you have a picture of the mudslide again. It says, Slide down the falls, exclamation. And you can advertise this for $4, and you will get 3 victory points. I think at this point, I'm just going to accept the fact that I'm calling these victory points and not visiting people. Basin City Scramble costs $4. It's going to give you 2 victory points and move you up 1 on the awe track. Advertise it for $3 and get 2 points. And it says the Basin City Scramble, Strike It Rich. Next is the Bandit Shootout. It's going to cost $7, give you 3 VP, move you up twice on the thrill track. And it shows an Old West shooting center, guy holding a gun and a dynamite and shooting at practice targets, cardboard practice targets at the saloon. And then on the other side, it says Bandit Shootout. Wipe out the outlaws. Advertise for $4 and get 3 VP. Then we have the Minecart Mayhem, which also costs $7. And it shows a picture of some kids on some mining carts. One looks like they are flying off into their doom. So, yeah, that doesn't look like an attraction I want to get to. And that's going to cost $7, 2 VP. Go up once on the thrill track and 2 on the joy track. So we get 2 joy for flying off into our doom on a minecart. Nice. We're going to advertise that for $3 and get 2 VP during the advertise phase, and it says Fire in the Hole in the back. Next is our $8 Wild Gulch, which is 3 VP. Move once on the thrill track, 2 on the awe track, and once on the joy track. This is going to give us, has a picture of some type of horse carriage race. So I'm assuming that's what this is, a horse carriage race. You flip it over, you can advertise it for $4 and get 3 VP. The Wild Gulch Hitch a Ride on the Stagecoach. All right, now we have Gold Rush. Costs $7. Gets you 3 VP. You can move up on the thrill track and twice on the awe track. And it's a Gold Rush style train roller coaster. Gold Rush, ride the Iron Horse. You can advertise it for $3 and get 3 VP. Alright, now we're getting into the purple sci-fi cards. First one is Ad Astra, costs $7 and 3 victory points at the end of the game. You move up twice on the thrill tracker. Shows a purple spaceship on the front launching off from some type of roller coaster or mount. Flip it over, says Beyond the Stars, Ad Astra. You can pay $4 to advertise it and get 3 VP. Next is the Moon Launch card. Costs $6. It's going to give you 2 VP at the end of the game. You move up once on the thrill, once on the awe. Looks like we have a space elevator, so a drop zone style ride that's going to take you all the way into space. Alright, so that's worth 2 VP at the end of the game. Costs $6 if I didn't mention that. Once on the thrill track, once on the awe track. Flip it over. It says Moon Launch, out of orbit. Advertise $2 for 2 VP. Ray Gun Alley. Costs $3, 1 VP. Move up once on the thrill track. Looks like some kids going through a laser battle on a spaceship race in a UFO cart. That is the best way to describe this one. Actually, that is a pretty looking card. Pretty cool. So I really like this one. The Ray Gun Alley, $3. 1 VP, 1 thrill point. Flip it over. You can advertise this for $1 and get 1 point. Next we have Max Force, the Spinny Ride. So that's going to cost $6. Gets you 2 points at the end of the game. Move up once on the thrill track and once on the awe track. Flip it over. It says Feel the Momentum. Advertise for $3 and get 2 points. Next is the Space Rings card. Costs $5. Gets you 2 points at the end of the game. Move once on the thrill track, once on the awe track. And this looks like... This definitely looks like some type of Tesla coil. I'm not too sure how... Oh, you know what? This is a Tesla Ferris wheel. Tesla coil Ferris wheel. That's pretty cool, actually. And then that's going to get you 2 points at the end of the game. It says Resist the Vortex. Advertise $2 to get 2 points. Now we have the Hover Racers. Costs $6, gets you 2 points. Go up once on the thrill track and twice on the awe track. Twice on the joy track, the hearts. And looks like we have some hover style bumper cars. That kid looks angry. Speed Along the Breeze, says on the back. Advertised for $2 for 2 points. That was our sci-fi cards. Let's get into our undersea cards. These are Deep Sea Souvenirs is the first one. Costs $4, gets you 0 VP, and then $3 on the income turn. Yes, that's going to give you $3. And then you flip it over, but you do not get to advertise this one. Poseidon Slide costs $3, but gets you 1 VP and once on the joy track. You can pay $1 to advertise it for 1 VP. The Poseidon Slide, Elude His Might. Some kid coming out of Poseidon's mouth on a water ride. Next is Submarine Voyage, $5. 1 VP at the end of the game. Go up twice on the joy track, and you can advertise it for $2 for 1 point. And then you can explore the uncharted waters, it says on the back, with advertisement for $2 for 1 point. And yeah, submarine voyage. Looks like we have a submarine traveling through some type of coral. Next we have the Kraken Whirl. It costs $3 and gonna get you 1 point. It's gonna take you up once on the Joy track. You can advertise it for $1 for 1 point. It says withstand the beast, and it's just a picture of a kraken, and the kraken is somehow holding a shark on a mountain for some reason. But the kids look like they're having fun, so that's all that matters. All right, next is Atlantis. Cost you $3, 1 VP, and then once on the Joy track, we got 2 scuba divers who have just discovered the city of Atlantis. All right, looks like they're going to pay out very well. Flip it over. You can advertise this for $1 and get 1 VP. We're getting into the next card, which is Maelstrom. We got some kids in some tattered up barrels going through a whirlpool. But they're smiling, so that's all that matters there. So it costs you $3, get you 1 VP, and get you once on the all track. You can advertise this for $1 and get 1 point. It says Maelstrom, survive its depths. These cards kind of remind me of old 1920, 1930s, right when cinema came out during that era. Old cinema posters, or even, like the game itself. Theme park posters, essentially. So, yeah, I'm enjoying this artwork so far. Nautical Turmoil is the next card. Costs $7. You get 2 VP, go up once on the Thrill track, once on the Awe, and once on the Joy. You can advertise this for $3 and get 2 points. Alright, next we're getting into the fantasy cards. There's 6 of these. First one is the Haunted Dungeon. Costs $7. Gets you 2 VP. You go up twice on the Thrill track, once on the Joy. Next is the Sabbath Keep. Let me step back. The Haunted Dungeon, it uncovers its secrets. You can advertise it for $2 for 2 points. Now we'll get into the Sabbath Keep. $7, 2 VP, 2 Thrill, 1 Awe. Advertise for 2 for 2. Says seal the gates on the back. Next is Dragon's Flight, costs $7. And there is a dragon style roller coaster. It's going to get you 3 VP, 1 Thrill, 2 Joy. Advertise $4 for 3 points. It says Tame the Serpent, Dragon's Flight. Next is the Labyrinth. Costs $7. 3 VP, 2 Awe, 1 Joy. Advertise for 3 victory points. It says get lost within its walls. Next is the Wizard's Duel. Costs $7. 3 VP, 1 Thrill, 2 Joy. You can advertise it $4 for 3 points, and it looks like we got a unicorn style roller coaster with some fireworks blasting off. Definitely doesn't look safe for the kids, but looks fun. Next on the back it says Become the Champion, Wizard's Duel. Next is the Storm Giant card, costs $8. 3 VP at the end of the game, 2 Thrill, 1 Awe, and 1 Joy. And then you can advertise it for $3 for 3 points. It says Endure the Tempest, the Storm Giant. And those are our fantasy cards. Lastly, we are getting into the prehistoric cards. There's 6 of these. First one is the Stone Age Rush. Looks like we have some Flintstone style racers. That's going to cost $3 and 1 VP at the end of the game. You'll get 1 Joy. Go up once on the Joy track when this is built. You can advertise it for $2 and get 1 VP. Stone Age Rush, Race Through the Ages. Next is Volcano Tower. $5, 2 VP at the end of the game. Go up once on the all track. Advertise it for $3 for 2 points. Volcano Tower, Dawning of an Era. Primordial Zip. Costs $4, worth 1 point at the end of the game. 1 all track, 1 joy track. Advertise for $1, get 1 VP. Fly Through Its Caverns. Primordial Zip. Actually, it says the front says Primordial Zip, and the back says Primordial Zip. So we have a misprint or a misspelling, or where it's not matching up quite a bit. Next is the Sabertooth Show, which is $3, and it's going to give you 1 VP. At the end of the game, you go up once on the all track, and then it's going to get, you can advertise it for $2 for 1 VP, and it has a saber-toothed tiger jumping through a fire hoop. Saber-tooth Show, beware the bite. Next is Mammoth Valley, costs $6. You get 2 VP, twice on the all track, and it shows some type of interested explorer riding a mammoth, looking off into the distance as in if they are on a safari. Interesting. So you can advertise that for 2 victory points. It's going to cost you $3. Prepare for the Ice Age. Lastly, we have the Dino Adventure. Costs $6. Looks like we have a picture of a Stegosaurus, a T-Rex in the background, and a Jurassic Park style vehicle riding through the jungle. It's going to cost $6, give you 2 VP. You're going to move up twice on the all track and once on the joy track. Costs you $3 to advertise it for 2 points. Dino Adventure, Sights Unseen. And that covers all the cards for this game. Like I said before, on the surface, these cards, the artwork is quite impressive. And all the little puns, and as you look at the art, you can see that they put some humor into some of this. So as I look closer at some of these, only thing is, it looks like we noticed one misspelling in there. I'm sure the manufacturer might fix that at some point. Yeah, we're going to close this thing up here. But for now, those are the cards. Alright guys, that was Tenpenny Parks. Thanks for visiting me at my lab today, getting into the components of Tenpenny Parks. Overall, all the components on this game, I enjoy them greatly. I look forward to playing this game again. Hope you guys enjoyed this go-through of the rules and the components. Look forward to getting into another one. If you're interested in seeing some periodic table picks, check out my Instagram. It is Periodic Table Picks on Instagram, where I post pictures of the components of games. Enjoying the art of the tabletop. Again, I'm your host, Greg. I'll see you next time on the Periodic Table of Components.